people with real jobs.
Hello?
Self-employed people. Which do you want to be? This is Certifiably Unemployable. It's time to fire the boss and become self-employed. Maybe you need a push to get that business or side gig going that you've been dreaming about for years. And if you're an entrepreneur, you can listen to stories and get experience from people who've done it. Get ready to change your life. Broadcasting from the compound, this is Certifiably Unemployable, and this is Sean Dean.
Welcome to Certifiably Unemployable. I am your host, Sean Dean, and once again, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to make comments. Let us know what we can do to make this show better for you. And, you know, as an entrepreneur, we all have different avenues we take throughout our lives. We all have our different stories. We all have our reason why. And I believe with any entrepreneur, it's all about the story. And more importantly, it's all about relating to a story of somebody else. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk about in today's episode. The power of building your legacy with a buddy of mine that I've known for the past few years out of the Las Vegas, Nevada area. His name is Gordon Watt, and he has a tremendous story because he absolutely 100% could have allowed himself to fall into the system, not recovering from a second chance. He could have said, you know what? I've made some mistakes. Forget about it. Enough's enough. He's got a beautiful family. He's got a lot of great things going on. He's helping a lot of people. He's a self-taught publisher, self-taught copywriter. He is a graduate of the School of Hard Knocks. I love that. He's doctorate of the streets. And, you know, he's been homeless. He's overcame an addiction. He's been incarcerated in federal prison for 14 years. So, Gordon Watt, welcome to Certifiably Unemployable. Thank you.
All right. Welcome, viewers, listeners, to Mr. Sean Mossness program, Undeniably. What was that you unemployable? And it goes to the fact that that's what Mr. Sean really strives for in helping other people move in the direction that they want to go. And it's just an honor and privilege for me to be on your show because, you know, I love the subject, Sean, the subject of having you change people's lives in a way that you can serve them for a better life is something that I know in your heart you strive for. And I'm just thrilled to be here, sir.
Well, I appreciate it. So let's get started because I want to hear your story. I want to hear, you know, because one of the things that Certifiably Unemployable is all about is helping identify the struggles that real people go through, understanding what we need to do to start our own business. But I don't want to just candy coat everything, give people the good. I want to give people the bad, also the indifferent. So I want you to tell us. One of the things that intrigues me the most about your story is you know, you see a lot of stuff like this on TV and everything else where people do the bad thing and they never recover from that. But understanding when you do things bad, that doesn't mean you don't have a second chance. So tell me all about your story, and so that way our listeners can be up to speed on who Gordon Watt is, and then we'll roll from there.
Oh, absolutely. This is one subject I can talk to. I'm blue in the face. Actually holding on to second chances, because let's face it, guys, even with this pandemic going on, listening to Sean's show, listening to other shows, everybody has a reset button at this point in stage in life right now, especially with what's going on. And I know there's a lot of misconception. You can be doing programs and everything else, but one of the main things that's going on right now is, you know, where I started from in 2012, I just got finished over a 14-year federal prison sentence for conspiracy to deal drugs in Hawaii. I came out with a backpack full of clothes, whatever I could take. Came out to Las Vegas to start my whole new life all over with just that one backpack and a dream to not compromise, to move forward into anything else that I wanted to go. Because, you know, I've been in and out for half my life between drugs, gangs, criminal activity, and I really thought money, power, fear was the way to go. But at the same time, I always had an entrepreneur mindset. In fact, one of the main things I had before I took my vacation was I had clubs, businesses. I was in the adult sex scene at that time with the streaming, when And when I came out, I lost everything. I couldn't start all. In fact, I'll tell you the honest truth. I had like $750,000 buried under my grandma's house, right?
Wow.
But my uncle, I told my one family member where it was, and he spent it over the course of 10 years doing the same exact thing. So I came out with absolutely zero. And that's absolute zero. I had to change my mindset because when I was doing my time, I already had that. I knew I had a plan already. But
Mhm.
when you didn't have the money, you kind of had to shift gears and turn something into something else. So I had to basically start all over between trying to get a job just to get the PO off of me, the courts off of me. I came out with back child support, 80,000 restitution. So I was on an uphill battle, but like you said, for your viewers and stuff, you have to make a choice at that time. Are you going to go back to who you used to be, or are you going to move forward with what you got? And what I tell most of my viewers also, and some of the people that I come in contact to, you have the keys to everything that you know is possible. It's just a matter of putting your first footstep forward, and taking the time to embrace and to move forward slowly and surely at a time. And it's been working wonderful. It's been working wonderful for me, and surely blessed.
Yeah. So when all of this happened, you got out of federal prison, you had this restitution, you had this back child support, you realized that the money that you had tucked away is no longer there, right? Was there somebody you met along the way that pushed you through? Did you have a mentor? Did you have somebody that just kind of smacked you in the face and just said, Gordon, you got to do this? Or was it 100% all internal?
Well, what happens is when you have that pivot in life where I had a really here's a real life situation, right? When you're absolutely zero broke, right? And you got to find a job, you got to find a way to feed yourself, you got to find a way. All this time I'm trying to think to myself, do I dabble, or I just go in the straight and narrow and go forward with everything else? So internally I had a decision, and I didn't want to compromise because I've been sitting around looking at bunk springs for so long. I wanted to do something different. So, I was fortunate enough to get a very good job at one of the premier Las Vegas hotels, and they didn't even believe that I got the job because I was told, do not go and work on the Las Vegas Strip. Nobody hires ex-felons. But in the meantime, I'm still an entrepreneur and I want to move forward. So what I did was I got the job at the hotel after running around, being evaluated as 20-year-old kids making $7 an hour, living at the halfway house. In fact, this is how bad it was, Sean. When I got this phone back then at 2012, the 4S, I was so shocked this phone talked to me. That's how bad. The last time I held a cellular phone was the Nokia flip, or the Motorola flip one. Is like, where you at? That's the last time I had a phone. So when I come out, there's a new world, new change, but I knew I had to change. But during the course of putting my life back together, I met people like Sean. I met his brother, Otis. I met different other mentors. Some other mentors that are right now are the gurus on the stage that I still keep in contact with that help other people also. So I'm not going to say it's all me, but I got to give the man up above, because for the things I've been through, the things that I've went through, and the things that I've done, I'm either supposed to be dead or I'm supposed to be still back in prison. And I was given a second chance. And this is why I help youth at this stage in my life, where I help kids steer their direction. I help their parents, right? I help anything associated with, so they can have a second chance and hold onto it for dear life. Because even with this pandemic, a lot of people going through a lot of stuff. People want to make money. They need to feed their families. They're not getting their stimulus check. They're not getting their unemployment. They're not getting certain things. But I based everything up to this point at 2020, where I worked for the past couple of years to learn new skills, part of the entrepreneur journey. learn messaging, learn copywriting, learn videos, right? And I've worked with a lot of mentors that have grown to see me become this person, and they value my opinion. And I get calls like from Sean, from other people. Gordon, what do you think of this? What do you think about this messaging? And it comes down to a certain things that I've built myself up to be at this stage in my life.
I like that. I like that because you easily, again, you could have said forget about it.
Oh,
I'm going to just tuck myself away. But for you to be able to go to a place like Las Vegas that has the gambling, there's a lot of things there that you can turn to, vices that could have brought you down 100% the wrong path, right?
Mhm.
You chose to go to Vegas of all places. You got a job on the strip at a hotel casino, met a lot of amazing people, and you decided to just allow your circle to be positive reinforcement. And I think that's huge because a lot of people, they automatically want to just call up their old buddies. They want to call up their old friends because that's what they're used to. You decided I'm gonna meet a whole new group of people, and I'm gonna circle myself with people that I want to become more like. I love that. I love that. So let's talk more about the youth program you do. So is that something you do? Is it virtual? Is it local? I mean, maybe it's changed now because of the pandemic, but tell us more about what you do there and how could and who's a part of that youth program? Do you go after just kids that have already gotten in trouble, or is it anybody could be a part of that program?
So the Real Talk Youth Impact Program, Las Vegas, is a youth program where we try to get kids that hasn't been in the system yet, but we do have a lot of court order kids. And there's a bunch of, I work with, my director is a retired federal probation officer. And there's a bunch of us ex-felons, gang members, drug users that has changed their lives. And we try to give the real deal to the parents and the kids, because let's face it, in today's time, everybody looks at Instagram, everybody looks at YouTube, everybody they want to be like these rappers and stuff like that. But at the same time, they're not really happy in their life at home, whether it's school. And it used to be a physical thing. So once a month we would go to the Pearson Community Center, which is a town hall, and we'd have court-ordered kids. I get kids at 11 years old taking guns to their school, that type of stuff. We get kids trying to commit suicide, and the parents, it's just, and when you see me talk to these kids, we get to give them the real down truth about, because they like to glorify, in the movies, they like to glorify prison, gangs, and things like that in that nature, where these kids look up to these images, the rappers, and they want to become them at this day and age. And we give them, like, with the people, my other speakers, you might have 7 of us, and just with that, there's like over 100 years of incarceration time. I mean, we got gang members, drug dealers, pimps, prostitutes, and we give them the real deal. And the recidivism rate for our kids that go through that program it's down to like 12% after they hear our stories, because something clicks in their head. It's like they want to change, because we give them the real stuff, like what goes on inside, what they had to do on the streets. And it's like, when you're 16, we do kids between 8 and 17, and when their faces just is like, oh, I didn't know about that. They kind of have a change aspect when we put them in a situation. And a lot of the times these children or their parents don't know what's going on in the streets. Now, since the pandemic, we started doing it virtually with Zoom calls, stuff like this. We might have like 30 kids on where we're talking. In fact, tomorrow we have one, because we meet up once a month. And then we split the groups up. 3 speakers might talk to the kids, and then 3 speakers might address the issues parents are having, because half the battle is the parents, right? Half the battle is the parents, where they don't know. They get to, for once in their life, a parent gets to talk to, say, the monster on the street corner, and ask straight out the questions that they've been bugging in their head about why is my kid like this, you know?
Right.
And you got to imagine, like 7 years ago, I had braids down to my butt. So it's like I wasn't all of this, right?
Right.
But
Hey,
you know,
I've seen pictures. I can attest to that 100%. Yeah. Yep.
So we get questions from parents, like we to ask them some really, I mean, parents crying there because they come in there all half cocky. Oh, I don't need to be here, because 9 out of 10 times they're court ordered kids, or say they're just a grandma at their wits end with their grandchildren. They don't know what to do. They're running around the streets. And by the time they leave us, they have a better understanding of what a monster, say the drug dealer, the guy in the corner. Why is my kids in gangs? You know what I mean? Why is he not coming home? Why is he cutting from school? All these things that we address. Why does my child have anger issues? And I address it. We address it from what we did from the past, right? Because what we like to tell them is, we took the test, failed, and now we're giving you the answers for the test.
Yeah.
Right.
Open book
Yes.
test, buddy. You've got all the answers in front of you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So once again, we're speaking to Gordon Watts about the power of building your legacy, and, you know, talking about adversity, talking about spending time in federal prison. You're talking about this youth program. So someone who's listening, they might be thinking, well, how does this tie into being an entrepreneur? Well, here's one of the things that resonates with me. And this is why it's so important to communicate with the youth, because this stuff is not taught in school. And if you've got somebody who is unfortunately going down the wrong path, it doesn't mean things are over for them. And our guest on Certifiably Unemployable is a testament to that, because here's the thing. A lot of times 9 times out of 10, you just don't know. It's a bottom line is people don't know what they don't know. And so they don't know just by meeting somebody who can connect with them properly. So if you're a parent, if you're an entrepreneur, you've got a child who maybe is just gearing down the wrong course, you know, you can easily get in contact with Gordon, get in contact with myself, because I can put you in contact with Gordon. Because I'm not saying you push the message down your child's throat, but sometimes just hearing somebody else's story, and how, like he said, is that we've tried it, we failed, we tried that bad side, and it didn't work. So this is the alternative, because a lot of it happens where when you do these things, and maybe you're doing this through school, you make bad grades, and now you're like, well, I can't go to the university, can't do A, B, and C. But one thing you can do is become an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneurs are the type of industry where it allows everybody to be a part of it. Everybody can embrace, everybody has the same opportunity. It's just what you decide to do with that opportunity. So while they're going through the process, what kind of things can you encourage people, not just youth, but anybody that's starting their own business? Maybe they've got some things that have set them back as far as a vice. Maybe they've had a drug addiction, alcohol. Maybe they just, they're having problems with their relationship. Anything can relate. What is the first advice that you would give them to be able to overcome that, move forward, and just step into something positive?
Right. No, that's a beautiful thing, because a lot of times when you're doing entrepreneurship, or you're doing something on the business level, whether it's online, offline, you have to be prepared to move on after setbacks, right? Setbacks is just part of entrepreneur life, because a lot of times, and you know, my past and my balance, my real life balance of what's going on right now allows me to have not just one way where you're lopsided, right? The key to entrepreneurship, to me, at this stage, from learning from making $30,000 a day, making $50,000 a week, on and offline, right? It doesn't matter. You got to learn how to take that setbacks, those failures, and turn you into a machine where you can kind of like be that leader that you want to be, but also have a little empathy at the same time when working with people, especially if you're on a leadership role. Like I know Sean and his partners and stuff, they always have a leadership role in a lot of the things they do, because they've been through the stuff. They probably ate. If you're not moving forward in small increments, and you keep doing the same crap, it's time to change something up. Whether it's you're doing it, creating something, whether you're building something, right? Whether you're building a legacy for a reason for your kids, your family, and everything else. Whether it's you writing, messaging, whether you're speaking on stage. A lot of this has to have from bringing everything that's inside of you out into something that is tangible, right? Because like a lot of the times people look to leaders for reasons that maybe he's empathetic about me. Maybe this person can relate to me. Become that relatable person and everything else falls in place, especially products and services. Products and services are all something that people want. Now, the difference is, are you going to be the person that they want to buy it from?
Right. And that's where people need to understand who they are personally. One of the things that I've heard many, many times that has resonated with me is that if you want results of the masses, then you continue to do what the masses do. And that's one of the things that the younger generation really needs to understand, is that just because it makes you feel cool and look cool and everything else doesn't mean that's where you want your life to go. And so sometimes you just need to make minor tweaks to what you're doing to make changes in your life. And it's not going to be easy, right?
Never.
How simple were your changes, Gordon? I mean, when you started to say, you know what, I need to change, it wasn't easy, was it?
Well, it's never going to be easy, but then at the same time, it'll never be worth it. Right? A lot. I mean, you could have when I used to make money. It's just so funny because at this stage in my life now, where I got a second chance and I'm holding on to it dearly, where I won't compromise even my businesses for my family time, because I had a second chance at having a new son where I thought nothing else was going to change. And I work with this big personal coach, and he wanted to partner up with me at the beginning of this year. But I told him, my son is coming. Let me embrace the emotions, the feelings, and that what's going to happen. And I was hoping for what I have right now, which is the feelings of just being happy. You mean money cannot buy you happiness. Money can cover it up, right? Money can do things. Power can cover up for your insecurities, right? Money can do things, but when you have a perfect balance of family, business, life, physical, faith, whatever. I mean, if you have that right balance, what means to you, and it's working in one consist life is beautiful. And I see a lot of that from Sean, right? And Otis. And I physically see them work together. And it takes a lot of effort to be able to get to that point in life. And I understand it now, which is a beauty, because say you want to be an entrepreneur. In fact, you want to be an entrepreneur. You want to be a business. You want to be a service. You want to service other people. You got to understand yourself more than you understand somebody else before you can even become that authority or attractive figure, right? Even the big names, when you see the big names that's on stage, they all started somewhere.
Yeah.
If you're going to be consistent, they all started, they all failed. They always on the brink of quitting. But once you're on that verge of quitting and you want to throw in the towel, that's when you have your biggest breakthroughs emotionally, psychologically, and you're going to do something like this, like, it was that simple. And it's like life moves forward in a way it's hard to describe. Even for my clients right now, when I show them what they're missing, in fact, I just had one. I did their sales copy for them yesterday. And for months, I've been telling her, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do. You have to niche down to what people want. This is what's going to do. And she finally called me yesterday and she said, Gordon, you was right. Because now she's getting interaction and sales like never before. And now she moved on from that breakthrough, because let's face it, Sean, you know about business, you know about a lot of failures and stuff, because that's just part of the deal. You have to be, when I talk to entrepreneurs, the one question I ask is like, do you know about cup of noodles? Because what does that cup of noodles have to be about? I said, are you willing to sacrifice and eat a ramen or a cup of noodle every day just to have the life you want tomorrow, the next day? And that's something, if they can't answer that to me, it's like, oh, you don't have what it takes. This is where I know where I have to situate you to show you the steps.
Well, and that's part of the fear tactic with people. A lot of times what holds people back is fear. They don't want to look foolish. They don't want to sacrifice. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to allow people to see their vulnerabilities. They don't want any of that stuff. And so right away they're like, oh, I have to be a little uncomfortable. Well, guess what? You have to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. Bottom line. And you've got to be willing to do it. So Gordon, I know you've written a couple of books as well. I know you've written at least one book, and that's Tripping Over Pennies?
Yes, Stop Tripping Over Pennies. In fact.
All right, Stop Tripping Over Pennies.
Yeah.
So what is that book all about? Tell us about that.
So that book, I wrote that book I dedicated to the Las Vegas Rescue Mission, where I used to teach interview processing for ex-felons and people that's trying to get back on their life. And I wrote it for the Real Talk Youth Impact Program. So what I do is I give that book away. I sign it. Maybe I put some money in it, and it's written for kids, the parents, to know the situation that they could be in their life right now, and it moves them into a direction that you can actually do it. Like you said, these kids, they don't like to read, but if I'm a ex so-and-so and I give it to them after they hear me speak, they actually hold on to their book, and this just so happened, maybe it can change their life, where it's one child at a time, one family at a time, one youth, one person not in the system, one person not one parent not having that late night phone call at the knock on the door where you have to go down there and pick up your son, daughter, or anything else. That's what that book is for. And I've been in different other books. In fact, I just was on another, I had to write another skit inside another book for somebody else, where for the same exact reason, because with the situation we have going now in the world, the world has a time to reset, even with their children, between communication. I'm curious to see what's going to happen after this is all said and done, when it all opens back up fully, and see where this is shifting and how people are going to pivot. And so far in the Las Vegas area, it's really made a difference in crime, people reaching out, because they have the time to do it now, right? And that's what the book is for. The book is for people that want to move on from somebody that been there, done that, been through it, and give them a little direction. And they can always reach out to me whenever they want, on any which way possible.
I think whether you're listening to this during the pandemic or a year from the pandemic, 2 years from the pandemic, one of the things you have to realize, especially if you're listening to this after the pandemic happens, you understand and you have confirmed to yourself that things can happen in the world, but there's always a positive side to the other side. And so if you're going through something in your life, as far as diversity, maybe you feel like you just cannot beat what's going on and you just feel like there's not the other side. Listen, there's always someone to reach out to. There's always someone to talk to, and there's always a positive side to that. The first thing that you have to be willing to do as an entrepreneur, as a human being, is you have to tell yourself, I'm going to see the other side of this. I'm going to fail, but I'm failing the correct way. And we've talked about this so many times. You have to fail forward, but you got to do it the right way. And that's what I love about networks and like-minded people, of groups of whether you're in network marketing or you're in social media or you're doing things, affiliate marketing. That's how Gordon and I met, because if you don't allow yourself to be a part of groups like that, then you're closing yourself off to a world of a lot of positive reaffirmment or reaffirmations. And that's one of the things that I love the most about the stuff that we do as entrepreneurs, Gordon, is that it would not have allowed me to meet you, hear your story. And I don't realize the impact I have on people. I just try to be the best person I can be. Right. And I know you do the same, and that's what it's all about. So as an individual, you have to be willing to let your guard down. It's okay to become vulnerable. It's okay to allow yourself for people to see that maybe you've messed up a little bit. That's okay, because they can relate to that, right?
Right. Even like one of our good friends together, Mr. John Gilardi, right? Mr.
Yeah.
John Gilardi affected my life the same way Russell Brunson did. We all met the same time. We all been backstage. We all been on all these different events, different groups, different masterminds, right? And he told me he'll see me again, right? He didn't. I when I met this man, I had a ankle bracelet, right? He didn't. No, he don't. He tells this story a lot because when you want to move forward and you put your feet in the ground and you want to be at a place that where you know you can be 5 years from now, 5 months from now, 10 years from now, you definitely can do it. What are you willing to do to, like Sean said, to get comfortable in being uncomfortable? If you can fail small to failing to bigger, all that to failing into something else, all you're doing is building up your credibility, your wisdom, your experience, your knowledge. But if you want to fast pace that, get together with guys like Sean, networking groups, masterminds, social groups, and find I right now I just was on Jim Edwards' show 2 days ago about sales and copywriting hacks, and it's one of those things that when you start being yourself, like yourself, Sean, you just being the authentic you, showing the vulnerability and showing how you can move forward from it, whether you're in business, in a bad relationship, in an abusive relationship, dealing with your kids, trying to work on your marriage, certain things. It's all aspects because it's all going to come down to a few certain things. How well are you going to handle the situation? And how are you going to change yourself to move forward from it? And it's going to trust me, guys, I would not be here with Mr. Sean Mossness if I went back to my old ways. I may have done something ridiculous, but life is beautiful on the other side after those failures, after those setbacks, after the pain of falling flat on your face on your last launch, falling flat on your face on your last product that's still stuck in your garage, falling on your flat face that the software that you developed nobody wanted because it didn't reach the market like you said. But you can move forward from it all because the next one could be the next one, because you're usually just one tweak away, one person away, one communication away. It could be anything. It could be one prayer away. It doesn't matter. It's whether you're going to move forward in a way that you changed. What I like to tell a lot of my clients is, where are you right now? Right? I always ask them, how vulnerable are you into doing this? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? I said, I try to get them in the middle, what's called an ambivert. So it's like they can be behind their computer screen at their mom's basement. They don't have to be all out gung-ho into the events and stuff. Find middle ground so you can play in both worlds.
Right. So the power of building your legacy starting right here, that's what we're talking about with Gordon Watt. And Gordon, we're going to make sure that we have a place within our YouTube channel so people can comment, but we want to be able to connect people with your book and other resources that you might have. So I'm going to go ahead and include those links on here. Gordon, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up today's episode? Because I know you and I are going to talk again. We've got so much more to talk about.
Absolutely.
But the biggest thing is we want to make sure that people understand, just because you've been through the bad doesn't mean the good's not on the other side, right? So Gordon, give us any last minute words on that.
Oh, absolutely. If you want to build a legacy, guys, audience, go for decide what you want. If you had a second chance in life, which everybody in this world has right now because of the pandemic, decide right now what you want to do. Hold on to it. Don't compromise whatever you can go through the pitfalls to build that legacy for you tomorrow. Because let's face it, once you start living that dream of yours, and it doesn't have to be money, guys. It doesn't have to be success. Success and building your legacy comes from within here. Once you have that purpose driven and you're actually, it's a feeling Tony Robbins talks about this feeling. Once you're in a state of bliss with yourself, things move, money, business, relationship, clients moves on, but you have to be able to kick down that door. Even don't just crack it open, guys. Kick that thing down. Go through the pains, go through the struggles, go through the uncomfortability, hold on to your legacy and live that blissful life, because that's what's on the other side. And there's going to be another door come through.
Yeah.
Kick that one down too.
You got to kick it down. And that's a big part about being an entrepreneur, is taking that risk, right? Because on the other side, and when you get through the adversity, you get through the level of being uncomfortable, the other side is going to feel so good. You're going to be like, wow, I didn't just build this for myself. I built this for my family. I built this for my loved ones. I built this for my legacy. And that's what it's all about, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because there's a lot of times where people want to be selfish, but once you build it and you do something bigger than yourself, people come in your life that affect everything. People want to help. People want to move forward. How can I help you do this? Especially if it's something that you resonate and people know, right? When I look at Sean, when I look at his family, I look at his friends, it's just like same goes vice versa with me. It's like, oh, I know he's been through some stuff. And this is the type of people I attract, because when they hear me talk on stage, online, in another group, or seem like you, it's like, oh, just the fact that I've been through some stuff, some of the failures you've been through, some of the emotional crap that you've been through, a lot of the times that I can relate to that and show them how I got out of it, is what people want to hear. The vulnerability is where your success is.
You're right.
Uncomfortability is where your pivot is, right? So it's just, those are things. I mean, we'll definitely talk again, because you have a show, I have a show, I have multiple, I'm helping other people's shows. We can all combine and have this synergy where it can help your audience along with my audience and the people we touch, because I want to leave my legacy. I want to be known as the guy. In fact, I want to be known as the guy that gave people hope that used to be in my situation. And I get it all the time. I mean, even like for my live, my Facebook videos and stuff, it's like, they always message me or email me, like, Gordon, thank you for just being you. And that's all I want. I don't want money. Money comes after, but it's like knowing that I left my legacy from this basically a-hole before to becoming this person of inspiration, motivation, and education, so that they can move on with their life, right? Same like you. I know you and Otis and the people you touch, you do the same exact thing.
Yeah. And it will not always be easy as an entrepreneur.
No.
But you have to be willing to confess and say, you know what, I messed up, and now I'm going to make things better. Mm-hmm. And all I'm going to do is open up the door and move forward. So we're talking about building your legacy. It all starts right here, and it all starts with you. That's the bottom line. So Gordon, we appreciate you being on Certifiably Unemployable. If there's anything we can do to impact your side, your podcast, whatever the case may be, let us know, because you're right. We are all a family. We're all here to help one another. And if anything about today's episode resonates with you, please comment, like, share. More importantly, let other people know. If this episode can impact them, share it with them, because that's huge. Gordon, we appreciate you being a part of today's show.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
All right. You're listening once again to Gordon Watt and the power of building your legacy. And this is Certifiably Unemployable. And until next time.
You've been listening to Certifiably Unemployable. Ready to fire the boss yet? You're on your way. Sean has been self-employed for over 20 years. So if that's something that you want to do, something you've been dreaming about for years, Sean has all the knowledge, good, bad, and indifferent. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on Facebook and Instagram at Certifiably Unemployable. Find us on YouTube and at www.certifiablyunemployable.com. Till next time, this is Certifiably Unemployable, signing off.